Wake up, get ready, time to shine, it's your day. Yeah. Join team together, making dreams come true. In the zone, we're connected.
So I got the hot topic. I think this is something that's on the top of everyone's mind at this point. It's AI and recruiting, right? So I just want to say first and foremost, thank you for joining me today. The ultimate game plan for today is to, dive deep into the understanding what algorithms mean and what does it mean to now have that undeniable power of the human connection. So who am I? I think Dan gave you all a good overview of who I am in general as an individual. But I go by Rob Mcfalls. I've been in TA for approximately about 10 years or so. And I started off in technology, but ultimately throughout my career, I've been able to touch many things. And I think there's been several instances or references of this, but I've also recently recruited estheticians for my wife's med spa. So, if they're out there and they have a pulse, I'm going to figure out how to find them. But for today, we're about to break down the playbook for AI and recruiting and what it means to have the human in the loop approach. And as mentioned, sorry if there are many football references. It's the DNA. So how I look at things and how I show up. So just kind of prefacing that as we go through there, you're gonna hear some stuff about football. But before we dive into it, I would love to see in the chat channel. I'm gonna try to navigate as appropriately, but I do know that our other panelists are in there. But I want to see just in the chat, who has seen AI help improve your day-to-day tasks immensely? Like, what are you all doing? I just like to see in the chat channel.
The chat is blowing up and there is unanimous yes, 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 yes. Scheduling, sourcing, recording, dictating calls, templates, screening, competitive intelligence, co-pilot, booleans. It goes on and on.
It's something that it's either we got to get on the train or we're definitely gonna get lost in the sauce. So setting the stage, right? And just piggybacking off of just the comments in general, as we were seeing just the chat channel blow up, the metamorphosis of talent acquisition right now in this digital era is, it's one that we had mentioned. It's if you don't get on the train, you're gonna get lost. I know we all love data. I was doing some research before this conversation because I want to share some data. I just don't want to go with my feelings. But based on HeroHunt.ai, they say that essentially 87% of companies are already adopting some type of AI recruiting inside their playbook to transform just how they show up in general. So this isn't just the evolution at this point. It's more of a revolution of where technology and then our human savviness comes together. And ultimately, we need to create a tag team, right? We need to meet that technology where it's at. And now with this one in general, I love to hear now more so. I heard about, some of the things that you're starting to use it for. But outside of the things that I think we're all hearing, like JDs and AI note taking, has anyone, pulled off any overarching strategy using AI in the workplace? I'd love to hear. And I can share some insights too of what I've done, but I'd love to just see in the chat if there's anything that you've done outside of like the mundane tasks, any implementations. So like, for example, I can share that on my end, most recently, before I was impacted by the good old riff of the Microsoft acquisition of Blizzard, I was leading the charge with one other individual about how we implement AI into our work stream. And then the goal, however, was to ensure that we kept candidate and the hiring manager experience at the forefront. And so one thing that I was able to do was we were able to use Copilot and essentially the Microsoft Office suite to be able to conduct JD reviews and JD audits. We were under the microscope of Microsoft and the government. So we were at this period of risk adverse. We wanted to minimize any type of risk. So what we utilized is we were able to conduct our JD audits utilizing Copilot, and more or less, there's a lot more to it. But we were able to utilize the JD review within Copilot. So there's a lot of cool things that are out there. So if you do have things like Copilot, I would highly suggest that you dive into those things. I think we're just really scratching the surface on things that we can do right now. And I'm starting to see a lot more stuff come through the chat channel too. Sorry, I'm just reading some of the things. Yeah, I agree. Victoria, I think this is super important. I think Steve just talked about understanding the talent landscape before you go to market. When you're able to come to conversations and understand some of the integral items and those invaluable pieces of the puzzle, that what makes us, that's what helps you stand out as a recruiter, in my opinion. Cool. Yeah, no, and honestly, I just want to create this dialogue, right? We are here to help educate each other. So, my goal here is, not just to talk at you all, but also to allow other folks that are in attendance to share like what they're doing so that we as a group community can continue to learn from one another. So as these new innovations come up, definitely continue to share those with the folks that are within your ecosystem. So AI's impact on recruiting, from a positive lens, I have came up with three highlights that I wanted to review with everyone. Because we're all witnessing this. It's a powerful convergence of technology and human ingenuity. And so first we'll talk about how we're seeing some things such as like blazing fast resume parsing and intuitive interview scheduling, right? At Blizzard, most recently, we used Eightfold. So we took Eightfold and we basically turned it on its back and we made it do all the things that we're calling out here, right? Um, then we also talk about data-driven insights, where sometimes the AI helps us slice through ambiguity, eliminating hidden talent pools. Also allows us to make more strategic hiring decisions. And then finally, also we'll talk about a remarkable scalability when what we can think about is turning your recruitment hurdles into manageable tasks. Understanding when you have those 500 applicants, how do you sit down and organize yourself to be able to get through all of those, right? So it's not necessarily about uh, what AI can do for you, but it's like how can you meet AI to ensure it can do just because we want to make sure that we keep that human in the loop. I have some more data points for you all too. I know everyone loves data. Companies like Chipotle specifically, from Barons.com highlighted they were able to reduce their time to hire from 12 days to 4 days by utilizing AI virtual assistants for their high volume hiring. So that's just one call out. Um, from Workable, a good old ATS. They highlighted AI provides predictive analytics that enhance decision making, reducing time to hire by 90% in most organizations. I say most because it's not, it doesn't encompass all. And also, this is from Workable. Second, from Workable, 68% of recruiters acknowledge AI's time saving benefits, enabling efficient handling of large applicant volumes. So I think that's probably one key piece that if you aren't doing anything right now with AI, I think this can help you out and save you a lot of time. Now, what happens when automation hits autopilot? It's not good for any of us, right? From the New York Post, 43% of Americans express discomfort with AI-led interviews, highlighting the necessity to implement a human touch where applicable. And I can also even share as a candidate myself, most recently, I've been interviewing and doing these things for the last couple months, for instance, my last opportunity that I was in. And I'll tell you, I've had the opportunity to interview with AI. I've had the opportunity to do the video interviews. I've done it all at this point, and those experiences aren't the funnest. I'll tell you that. It just puts us in an awkward, weird situation where I can vibe out in the kind of conversation with the interviewer. So it's a necessary need. And then as we delve deeper into the transformation and the journey of recruitment automation, it's imperative that we as a recruitment community remain vigilant about potential pitfalls. So three things I wanted to highlight that we want to be mindful of is the risk of archaic biases that may be entered into our stale data. So what that means is like automation often sometimes relies on the historical data, which we may carry forward with our outdated biases. So when these archaic trends influence our algorithms, we then risk perpetuating stereotypes that not only hinder our diversity, but also lock us into a past that no longer serves our evolving needs. Two, I talk about diminished empathy in the candidate experience. And I even called this out before. As a leader, I've always stayed true to highlighting a KPI for my teams around the candidate experience. And I even think Kirsten talked about this, right? Why do people come to you when they're looking for a job? Usually it's because of those relationships you built with those individuals, right? And so we have to maintain that. While efficiency is the key advantage, an overemphasis on the mechanical process could really erode the personal touch that defines the meaningful human interactions. Candidates themselves, they can find themselves on the receiving end of impersonal automated communications, which can tarnish our reputations as an organization, as an individual recruiter, your brand. And then also, essentially, then, the end result is, it's now we're dissuading top talent from engaging with our brand. And then lastly, stifling innovation and the intuition of the team, right? Human intuition and creative problem solving are essentially valuable assets with identifying exceptional talent. And so, with excessive reliance on rigid automation can overshadow these qualities, causing us in general to overlook unconventional candidates whose potential may not fit, within a predefined algorithmic data, right? I'm sure there's a lot of times we found the needle in the haystack, but it takes us to review those resumes, right? And, one by one. And now, another prompt I have for you all was I would love to hear and see how have you all navigated some of these challenges in your own recruitment practices. What innovative strategies have you employed to balance efficiencies with a human-centric approach? Please share in the channel. I'd really appreciate it. I just want to see what we got out there, and so that we all can learn as a community. So I'll say that one here because maybe I talked a little fast, but I love to hear just how a lot of you navigated some of these pitfalls with, just too much automation. Actually, you call out a good point. Ashley mentioned, because I think it was just in our panelist section, but on the candidate side, we're starting to use AI too much, right? Now, what do we do as a recruiting partner to provide them with the best practices, or how they should show up? I've made it a very ample point that with most of these recent companies I've started to work with, because right now I'm working as a fractional partner with a few companies. I ask, what do you want to see, like, when it comes to AI? Because most of these companies right now, we're doing case studies, we're doing challenges as part of the recruitment process. So, when it comes to AI, like, how do you want to see that showing up in practice? So, I think it's our due diligence to ensure that we understand how to use the technology first before we really dive in. Yes, Remo, yes. I took my own initiative. I think Steve Levy called it out a little bit ago, but Mike Wolford put on an AI class about how to show up when it comes to utilizing AI, whether it's in the ethical matter, how to create AI agents. But we really have to understand these technologies because more or less it's coming fast and furious. The technology is changing day in, day out. Yeah, and even the technology is just the overutilization of it can hinder us if we're forgetting the human touch. I love it. I love it. Now I transition to, what this conversation really is all about. It's the irreplaceable human touch. It's what are our powers when it comes to the super touch? Human recruiters excel at deciphering nuance, cultural context, and emotional cues. Uh, Personalized interactions forge genuine connections, significantly enhancing the candidate experience. And humans assess the potential and the ability beyond what algorithms and resumes can capture. And to be honest, this is just really where we shine, right? This is our secret sauce in our unmatched ability to feel, sense, and spot that hidden spark of potentials that no algorithm can even measure, more or less, right? If we add that human in the loop touch, we can create a dynamic duo, right? Where then now we can actually paint that candidate story with the vibrant flair to the hiring managers that essentially no line of code can capture. With the brilliance there, right? You can't pick up that animated conversation with the AI, so that's where the human touch comes from. So we got to continue to keep bringing that human magic to the game and ensure that we understand the technology that we're utilizing. And so one more prompt I have for you guys, and I'm sorry I keep coming with the prompts, but can anyone share a moment where human intuition made a difference in their hiring decision? Heather, I'm with you. So everyone asks me what's my superpower in recruiting. It's just my EQ. And it's not one overarching, but my EQ is where that's my flex. I'm with you. Steve, is your is your Steve? You always got it, guy. You got me, guy. Reflect on this, right? When you're going into those debriefs, has human intuition made a difference on who you selected or who you on what data you provided on how you facilitated that conversation across the hiring group? But those are the type of moments you want to think about. All right, let me speed up because I know I'm probably over my time there. So what does the hybrid approach look like? This is what we call the SMART strategy. At least is what I've highlighted. We should be utilizing AI for initial screenings where applicable, at a high level, scheduling where applicable, and then also more or less liberating the humane, all those human mundane tasks that aren't going to impact that experience from the candidate or the hiring manager. But then we can focus human effort on in-depth interviews and relationship building, and a blend of this algorithmic precision and our intuitive flair ensures balanced, fair, and empathetic hiring decisions, as we're calling out. And then as we're moving forward, I will want you all to just for 5 seconds, picture this. AI is more so like your playmaker in the field, pulling off moves like a wide receiver, a running back, if you're familiar with football. And then you're out there adding that signature flair, serving up empathy, humor, and pure charisma. That's like the quarterback, right? You're quarterbacking what's happening. So this is essentially that human in the loop approach where digital muscle handles the heavy lifting and you bring the soul, turning every interaction into a highlight reel of heart and muscle. And so ultimately, this is the fusion of speed and sentiment. And so as I'm getting ready to wrap up here, we're going to talk about the future and the best practices of AI in the recruiting game. We're looking at a whole new level of evolution. AI is growing faster than our wide receivers sprinting downfield, but we got to keep it real, transparent, ethical, and inclusive every step of the way. And so here's my recommended strategy. Invest in hybrid systems with human oversight. I'll say that one more time because I feel like this is, if anything, if you can take from this conversation today, you have to invest in hybrid systems with human oversight. Don't leave all of the plays to the machines. Keep the humans in the driver's seat. They have to call the audibles, as I mentioned, as a quarterback. Let's let AI do the heavy lifting while we let the people stay in control and make sure everything stays fair and on track. And routinely audit AI for fairness and vibrancy. We just like reviewing game tape. We got to check out AI systems. We want a level playing field, folks. No biases, no blind spots. Keep your AI honest and your talent pool will stay vibrant. And then lastly, we want to prioritize soft skills and interpersonal proudness. At the end of the day, relationships win championships. Technology can handle the numbers, but we can't replace that personal spark. So keep your eyes on the candidates who know how to communicate, connect, and collaborate. And a data point I'll leave you with here is 76% of companies plan to implement AI technology within the next 12 to 18 months. And that's from phenom.com. And then I can also share as a candidate, most recently, majority of the clients I'm talking to right now, they're all scaling. If they're going through a digital transformation, they're planning on implementing AI agents in some form or fashion. And so my call to action for you all. As we all know, AI is a straight up powerhouse, lightning fast and on point, ready to win. We in general, we need to understand what the highlight reel and where that happens. So we need to blend that cutting edge technology with our human approach and warmth. And that's where our everyday recruiting turns to an unforgettable spectacle. And let's fully embrace this hybrid game plan, digital savvy plus genuine connection. And then ultimately, we can continue to understand the new trends. And so without further ado, I just want to say thank you all. I appreciate you, taking the time to chat with me and chat in general. If you have any insights, you have any cool instances you want to share with me, you want to talk football, hey, I'm all for it. But I appreciate you, Dan, and the Hire Easy team for allowing me to chat today.